My girlfriend accused me of being controlling after I refused to buy her expensive, luxurious makeup. I ended the relationship. I'm 29, male, and I've always believed in relationships built on mutual respect and understanding. I work a stable but modest job, and while I'm not rolling in money, I'm financially responsible. That's why my last relationship was a harsh wake-up call. One where entitlement, manipulation, and greed turned what I thought was love into a complete disaster. My girlfriend at the time, who I'll call G, and I had been dating for about a year. Things were good at first. She was fun, lively, and had this magnetic confidence that drew me in. But as the relationship progressed, her expectations began to shift. At first, it was little things like expecting me to cover the tab every time we went out or subtly hinting at gifts she wanted. I didn't mind too much. I figured that's just how some people express their love. But over time, it became clear that G wasn't interested in a partnership. She wanted a sponsor. The final straw came one Saturday afternoon. We were walking through a mall when G suddenly stopped in front of a luxury cosmetics store. She grabbed my arm and practically dragged me inside. "Oh my God, I've been dying to try this," she exclaimed, holding up an expensive makeup palette. "It's so perfect, don't you think?" I glanced at the price tag. It was over $200 for makeup. "That's a lot for makeup," I said, trying to keep my tone neutral. "It's not just makeup," she said, rolling her eyes. "It's luxury. You wouldn't understand." "Maybe not," I admitted. "But I don't think I can justify spending that much right now." Her expression shifted immediately. The excitement drained from her face, replaced by a look of irritation. "Are you serious? It's not like I'm asking for a car. It's just a little thing. A little thing that costs more than my grocery bill for the week," I pointed out. She scoffed, crossing her arms. "Wow, you're really cheap. Don't you want to make me happy?" That comment hit me harder than I expected. It wasn't just the words, it was the way she said it, like my value as a boyfriend hinged entirely on my willingness to buy her expensive things. I stood there, stunned, as she went on. "You're always so controlling," she accused. "It's like you want to manage everything I do. Can't I just have one nice thing without you freaking out?" "Controlling?" I repeated, my voice rising slightly. "How is saying no to a $200 makeup palette controlling? I'm not stopping you from buying it yourself." She rolled her eyes again, as if I'd said something absurd. "You know I can't afford it right now. That's why I need you to help me out. But I guess you don't care about me enough to do that." Her words were like a slap in the face. I wasn't someone who could be guilt-tripped or manipulated easily, but hearing that from someone I cared about stung. I took a deep breath, trying to keep my composure. "Gee, this isn't about caring," I said firmly. "It's about boundaries. I'm not going to spend money I don't feel comfortable spending, and that doesn't make me controlling." She didn't respond. Instead, she stormed out of the store, leaving me standing there in stunned silence. I found G waiting by the food court, scrolling through her phone with a scowl on her face. I approached her cautiously, not sure if I wanted to continue the conversation or let it go. But before I could say anything, she launched into another tirade. "You know, other guys wouldn't act like this," she said without looking up. "They'd be happy to spoil their girlfriends." "Maybe," I replied, keeping my tone steady. "But I'm not other guys, and this isn't about spoiling you. It's about how you're treating me right now." Her head snapped up, and her eyes narrowed. "Oh, so now I'm the bad guy? Because I want something nice for once." "That's not what I'm saying," I replied calmly. "But you're making this about me being cheap or controlling when it's really about boundaries. If I say no to something, it doesn't mean I don't care about you." "Well, it feels that way," she said, crossing her arms. "You're always so practical about everything. Sometimes I just want to feel special, and you can't even do that for me." I sighed, realizing this conversation was going in circles. "Gee, it's not my job to make you feel special by spending money. I'm here because I care about you, not because I'm your bank." That's when she hit me with the line that made everything crystal clear. "Maybe I should find someone who can take care of me," she said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. The moment those words left her mouth, something inside me clicked. I'd spent months excusing her behavior, convincing myself that she just had a different love language or that she wasn't as materialistic as she seemed. But now it was obvious. This wasn't a partnership. It was a transaction, and I was the one footing the bill. You know what? I said, my voice steady but firm. Maybe you should. Her eyes widened slightly, as if she hadn't expected me to call her bluff. What's that supposed to mean? It means I'm done, I said. I'm done feeling like my worth in this relationship is tied to how much I spend on you. If that's what you want in a boyfriend, then I'm not the one for you. She stared at me, stunned into silence for the first time since the argument started. But it didn't last long. You're really ending this over makeup? She snapped, her voice rising. No, I said. I'm ending this because you don't respect me. You've made it clear that you care more about what I can give you than who I am. She opened her mouth to argue, but I didn't stick around to hear it. I turned and walked away, leaving her in the middle of the food court with the $200 pallet she couldn't afford and a look of disbelief on her face. That night, I expected to feel a mix of emotions, regret, sadness, maybe even guilt. But instead, I felt relief. It was like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders, and for the first time in months, I could breathe freely. The days following the breakup were surprisingly quiet, at first. G didn't reach out, which was fine by me. I focused on work, spent time with friends, and started to reclaim the parts of my life I hadn't realized I'd been neglecting. But just when I thought I was in the clear, the messages started. It began with a simple text, "Can we talk?" I ignored it, knowing where that road would lead. A day later, another, "I think you're overreacting. Let's work this out." Still, I didn't respond. Then came the guilt tripping. After everything we've been through, you're really going to throw it all away? I'd had enough. I blocked her number, thinking that would be the end of it. But G was persistent. A few days later, she started reaching out through mutual friends. "You should hear her out," one friend said over the phone. "She's really upset." "She's upset because I won't buy her expensive makeup and play along with her games," I replied bluntly. "I'm not interested in patching things up." The friend sighed. "She's telling people you were controlling, that you didn't let her express herself." I laughed bitterly. Controlling? Because I said no to spending $200 on something unnecessary? If that's her narrative, she's welcome to it. The real kicker came about a week later. I was at work when I got a notification from social media, a tagged post from G. Against my better judgment, I clicked on it. It was a long, rambling post about how she'd been in a toxic relationship with someone who didn't support her and made her feel less than. While she didn't name me outright, the details were specific enough that anyone who knew us could connect the dots. I took a deep breath, debating whether to respond. Part of me wanted to defend myself, to set the record straight. But then I remembered something a friend had once told me. You don't owe anyone your side of the story when the truth speaks for itself. So I let it go. Instead of retaliating, I decided to focus my energy on something more productive. I went through my contacts, made sure all my friends and acquaintances knew the truth, and cut ties with anyone who seemed more loyal to G's drama than to reality. A few days later, I got a message from a mutual friend who'd seen the post. "You won't believe this," they wrote. "She's been trying to get sympathy gifts from people by saying you emotionally abandoned her." I couldn't help but laugh. It was so on brand for G, turning herself into the victim and using it to her advantage. But I wasn't going to let her manipulate me or anyone else any further. That's when I decided to take my own revenge, though not in the way you might think. I didn't want to stoop to her level, but I did want to make sure her actions had consequences. And luckily, I had receipts, literal ones. During our relationship, G had a habit of making me pay for things while promising to pay me back later. I'd always shrugged it off, thinking it wasn't worth keeping track of. But after the breakup and her social media antics, I combed through my bank statements and realized she owed me over $1,000 from various purchases she had conveniently forgotten to reimburse. Armed with this information, I consulted a lawyer friend to draft a formal demand letter. It wasn't about the money, really, it was about principle. G needed to learn that actions have consequences, and she couldn't just walk all over people without accountability. The letter was delivered a few days later, and the reaction was swift. She called me from a new number, furious. "You're seriously asking me for money right now," she yelled. "That's so petty." "No, what's petty is smearing me online and using our breakup to milk sympathy out of people," I replied calmly. "You owe me money, and I'm giving you a chance to pay it back before this becomes a legal matter." "You wouldn't dare," she hissed. "Try me," I said simply. 2 weeks later, I received a check in the mail for the full amount. No apology, no note, just the money. I took it as a win and deposited it without a second thought. Meanwhile, the social media drama died down. Mutual friends began reaching out, saying they'd realized G's narrative didn't hold up under scrutiny. Some even apologized for believing her at first. She's burned a lot of bridges, one friend admitted. People are starting to see through her. The experience taught me a lot about boundaries and the importance of standing up for myself. G had tried to paint me as controlling and unkind, but the truth had a way of surfacing. Her manipulative tactics only revealed her entitlement, and in the end, she was the one left facing the fallout. So, to anyone out there dealing with a manipulative partner or someone who twists the truth for their own gain, let this be your reminder. You don't have to put up with it. Walk away, protect your peace, and hold your ground. And if you enjoyed this story of karmic justice, hit that subscribe button. The next tale might just make you feel even better about dodging the bullets life sometimes throws at us. Stay tuned.